Hi guys and welcome to MotorBeam. Look around you and there is a chance that what you will see is an SUV. But Honda, going against the tide, have brought back the Civic in India. A very popular model globally. In fact, the Civic is the reason why Honda cars is still in existence, because in 1970, Honda was deciding to shut its automobile manufacturing business altogether. But when they launched the first generation Civic in 1972, it instantly helped them financially and made it a blockbuster success. In fact, the Civic is Honda's oldest model, most popular, top selling in the world. But will it help Civic sell in good numbers in the Indian market? Well, I'm not going to use cliche terms like let's find out, because I already know the answer. But for that, you will have to wait till the end of the video. But before that, make sure you hit that like button, that's the thumbs up button, and also subscribe to the MotorBeam channel. Let's quickly dive deep into the 10th generation of the Honda Civic. Where Honda has hit the ball out of the park is in terms of design. This car looks absolutely smashing in person, and that is one of the big reasons why the Civic is going to sell. Up front, you get a grille which is so wide, it goes all the way to the edges. It's chrome, the headlights are all LEDs, and it gives it a very wide appearance both at the front as well as the rear, where again the lights are extremely attractive. But the sexiest part of this vehicle has to be the side, because it gets a coupe-like design, which means that the roof slopes all the way, merging with the tail, and that definitely looks absolutely sensational. This, coupled with the fact that the higher trim gets 17-inch wheels, makes the Civic a very attractive proposition on the road. The low variants do with 16 inches. Step inside and a lot of things will remind you of the CR-V, like the 7-inch infotainment screen as well as the 7-inch instrument cluster. The dashboard gets the black treatment along with nice inserts. In fact, even the door pads are very premium in terms of quality. The white stitching does make it look nice as well. The seat cushioning is very good. The driver gets an 8-way power adjustable seat. Meanwhile, you sit low in this vehicle, the steering feels good to hold, and it has contours right at the 3 as well as the 9 o'clock position for your thumbs. While quality levels are certainly good, there are certain hard plastics inside the cabin. The Civic excels in terms of storage space because there's a decent sized glove box. In the center, right behind the gear lever, there's a massive storage along with a cup holder. Below the center armrest, there is so much space, you can keep a lot of stuff. In fact, right below the center console as well, there's storage, and the positioning of the USB port as well as the HDMI and the 12-volt charging socket is a bit weird, because you have to actually hunt for it the very first time, and it's not really easy to access it. Honda has given the Civic plenty of features, right from automatic headlights to automatic wipers. It also gets a reverse parking camera with 3 modes, reverse parking sensors, cruise control, audio controls on the steering wheel, a dual zone climate control air conditioning as well as a sunroof. The vehicle also gets passive entry for both the front doors as well as a push button start. There's also traction control on offer. The audio system is compatible with both Apple CarPlay as well as Android Auto connectivity. Although it is slick, it is not the slickest of systems around. The instrument cluster gets a digital speedometer and an analog tachometer, although the whole screen is digital as such, and gets a multi-information display which gives you a plethora of information. In fact, you can also search your contacts on the instrument cluster to make a call. Not only that, you can change audio tracks on the go. On the petrol model, you can actually turn on the vehicle from the remote itself. That feature is not there on the diesel for obvious reasons, because diesel doesn't use sparks, it uses combustion. You get lights both at the front, twin lights at the front, one light at the rear, and the sun blinds also get a mirror as well as a light. Now, one very unique feature of Honda cars, especially the premium cars, is this feature. Yeah, the lane watch feature. What it does is, when you give the left indicator, it will display in the infotainment screen the view from the left side mirror, which means that there will be no blind spots. You can obviously turn it on completely all the time as well. The Civic comes equipped with 6 airbags, and this is a car which has got 5-star NCAP rating from Asian NCAP. So while there are plenty of features on offer, the equipment list falls short of its rivals. The front seat doesn't get the ventilation function, which is a crucial omission considering the Elantra has been offering it since a real long time. Heck, even the Verna comes with it now. At the rear, the seat is positioned very low in order to liberate headroom because of the sloping roofline. Headroom is just about adequate for a person of my height, which happens to be 6 feet 2 inches, but due to the low seat, under-thigh support is just about average. It's not great. Although the seats are comfortable and there are AC vents in the center too, unfortunately it misses out on sun blinds at the rear. It doesn't even get a remote, and the positioning of the USB port for rear passengers is kind of awkward because it is positioned at the front, which means that you really have to move around in order to plug your device for charging. Legroom is decent, kneeroom is also good, but this cabin, although wide, isn't apt for 3 passengers because there's a hump in the center. The door pockets at the rear are large enough. In fact, the door pockets at the front are also big enough. However, the window area is a bit small at the rear, although the beige treatment to the seats gives it a bit of an airy feeling. The center armrest gets twin cup holders as well. Meanwhile, you get ISOFIX child seat anchors for the rear seat. Further confirming that this isn't a car for 3 people at the rear is the fact that the center person doesn't get a headrest at all, although all other headrests in this vehicle are adjustable. Further aiding the practicality are magazine holders right behind the front seats. The 430-litre boot is big enough and the spare wheel is also an alloy. You can also roll down all the windows as well as the sunroof of the vehicle by pressing the button on the remote. This car gets all LED headlights along with LED fog lamps, but these side marker lamps are not LEDs, and although there are LEDs on the tail lights, the reverse light as well as the indicators at the rear are not LEDs. Now there's a slight symmetry problem at the front because over here there's an open vent, on that side it is closed. This is the diesel engine. It happens to be the 1.6 litre i-DTEC unit which produces 120 horsepower and 300 Newton meters of torque, matched to a 6-speed manual gearbox. Let's get driving right away. While on paper figures might not be very impressive, out on the road the Civic diesel does perform well because drivability is great. In the city you won't feel the lack of power at all, and out on the highway too it does decently well. That's thanks to the fact that 300 Newton meters of torque comes in at a low 2000 RPM and turbo lag is very well contained. This motor actually has decent amount of performance for both the city as well as out on the highway. The gearing is on the taller side and this motor revs all the way till almost 5000 RPM. That said, the NVH could have definitely been better because there's a lot of noise from this diesel engine, especially when you rev it hard and go past 3000 RPM. The low end is good, the mid range is also strong, and it really doesn't excel in the top end as such. But where this car absolutely excels is in terms of fuel economy. It is rated at 26.8 kilometers per litre as per ARAI, and that's thanks to a slew of changes, right from the fact that this vehicle is actually very aerodynamic. It uses low rolling resistance tires, and of course the engine also uses low friction parts. The 6-speed gearbox on this offers smooth shifts. The clutch is also on the lighter side here. However, in terms of outright performance and thrill of driving, this engine falls a bit short, especially when you compare it to the Skoda Octavia, whose diesel engine is not only more refined but also offers way better performance. The 10th generation Civic is lighter by 22 kgs and stiffer by 25% when compared to the 9th generation model, which by the way wasn't on sale in India. However, in terms of ride and handling balance, Honda has absolutely nailed it because this car does ride decently well. It's only the bad roads which can be felt inside the cabin because of the firmness of the suspension. The chassis is obviously shared with other Honda cars like the CR-V as well as the Accord. It gets vehicle stability assist along with hill start assist to make driving just that more secure. The steering offers great feel. It is light at low speeds and weighs up brilliantly at higher speeds. It's not only rich in terms of feel and feedback, it's quite communicative as well. Body roll is very well contained. The Civic remains glued to the road at higher speeds, although the tires could have offered slightly more grip. The brakes though offer great stopping power. It gets rear discs as well and the sure-footed bite at the pedal. Now the obvious question is, how is the ground clearance? As per ARAI, it is 126 mm, which is 6 mm more than the city, and this is the laid-in ground clearance. Honda has obviously improved the ground clearance for Indian conditions, which means at the front the ground clearance has been raised by 20 mm, at the rear it has been raised by 15 mm. This car's ground clearance is just about adequate because it doesn't scrape on the speed breakers. Yes, the wheelbase is long at 2700 mm, but over bad roads you really don't have to worry about scraping anything because ground clearance is adequate. So the issue of lack of symmetry is not there on the petrol model, so it's only on the diesel they've actually put an air vent up front on the left side below the headlight on the bumper. Yeah, that was fast, next to the fog lamp. Anyways, this is the petrol which I'm driving right now. It is powered by a 1.8 litre unit which produces 141 horsepower and 174 Newton meters of torque matched to a CVT gearbox. Yeah. Rubber band effect is obviously there in this vehicle and that VTEC feeling is just missing. While the diesel is a DOHC, the petrol is actually an SOHC, and this engine is a typical Honda motor, so it kind of has a weak bottom end and power builds up gradually. The more you rev it, the more it rewards you, especially the mid-range, and the top end is very good and it sounds great in the top end, redlining at 6,500 RPM, unlike the 1.5 litre diesel engine which revs very quickly. The only fly in the ointment is this CVT gearbox because of the rubber band effect, and it just keeps revving and revving and revving and doesn't give you the feel of what a Honda VTEC motor should. Yes, you can get into sport mode. There's also an econ mode in case you want to conserve fuel, and you can use the steering mounted paddles to choose the step of the gearbox. Overall NVH is obviously better than the diesel by miles, but as you get in the top end, it absolutely makes quite a racket. Like, yeah, that is Honda engines for you. The sound is pure symphony. Now I'm going to nitpick, and I'm going to nitpick big time because a manual gearbox isn't offered with the petrol engine, which is very disappointing. I mean, the whole VTEC feeling, the feeling of absolute control and fun is lacking in this vehicle. Although it looks sporty, the ride and handling balance is good, although it is more of a sportier handler than an outright comfortable machine over bad roads. Although we are yet to strap on our V-Box, I estimate this will go from 0 to 100 km/h in around 10 seconds, which is decently fast considering the gearbox, which brings in convenience and also smooth shifts, isn't the most sporty around. The petrol Civic weighs around 55 kgs less than the diesel, and the suspension is slightly softer in comparison because it's not so front heavy. It understeers lesser than the diesel as well, and with all the safety systems off, it will still not spin the wheel, because if you want to launch the vehicle with the left foot on the brake and the right foot on the accelerator, it is going to rev to a maximum of 2000 RPM. The all-new Civic is extremely impressive. Well, it's not really all new because this generation model was launched globally in 2016. It has even got a facelift. This is the facelifted model, and yes, it is impressive on many fronts. Especially, it's really the design and the fuel economy which stand out on this vehicle. However, there are certain problems, and unfortunately you can't get over them because the Civic has always been positioned as a sporty offering. This isn't very sporty because the diesel engine obviously doesn't have the most performance on offer. The petrol is mated to a rather disappointing CVT gearbox by performance and enthusiast standards, of course, but in terms of convenience, yes, it's there. It has decent amount of features. It doesn't have the most features in the segment. It still misses out on a lot of equipment, and honestly, this car is a jack of all trades but unfortunately a master of none. Yes, the Hyundai Elantra offers more features, the Toyota Corolla is extremely established in the Indian market, and the Skoda Octavia, don't even get me there because Skoda offers a lot more powertrain options, it has more features, more space, better ride and handling balance. So it's clear the Civic cannot be priced near the Octavia, because if it is priced near the Octavia, then the value for money tag, one of the reasons why the Civic is so popular globally, will miserably fail here. That said, if Honda does price to manage this vehicle attractively, then many city owners as well as owners of the old Civic will definitely want to upgrade to this vehicle. Not to forget, there are a lot of SUVs vying for prospective Civic buyers' attention. So guys, as much as I love Honda cars and as big a fan I am of the Civic brand, Unfortunately, the market dynamics don't favor this vehicle, and the fact that it doesn't excel in one particular department might be a slight hitch for the Civic to garner good sales in the Indian market. That said, if you're looking for something striking, reliable, and of course which has good handling as well, then the Civic is still one of the best cars in the segment as far as the pricing is right. Thank you guys for watching this video. Do leave your comments below about what you feel about the Honda Civic. Do you think it is going to sell well? My estimate is it's going to sell between 50 to 100 units a month, not the 200-300 which Honda anticipates, although this car definitely acts as a great brand builder for Team Honda in India. And it also completes Honda's sedan lineup, which now consists of the Amaze City Civic and the Accord.